What if I told you that something you eat almost every single morning has the potential to completely change how your body burns fat, manages hunger, and produces energy, and you have been preparing it wrong your entire life? Not wrong in a complicated way, not wrong in a way that requires expensive superfoods or a complete lifestyle overhaul. Wrong in a way so simple, so subtle, that once you understand it, you will never look at breakfast the same way again. Most people roll out of bed, crack an egg or two into a pan, crank the heat up high, and call it a healthy morning. But what is actually happening inside that egg when you do that, and what happens inside your body afterward, is a story most people have never been told. And it starts with understanding what an egg actually is, because it is not just food, it is something far more powerful than that. An egg is not simply a source of protein that you eat to feel less hungry. That description is technically accurate, but deeply incomplete, like describing a smartphone as just a device that makes phone calls. An egg is a complete biological capsule. It contains every single nutrient required to build an entirely new living organism from scratch. The egg yolk alone contains vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, phospholipids, and one extraordinary compound that most people have never even heard of. That compound is called choline, and it might be one of the most underappreciated nutrients in the entire human diet. When you understand what choline actually does inside your body, you will understand why throwing away an egg yolk, or even overcooking it, is one of the most metabolically costly mistakes you can make at the breakfast table. The human liver is one of the hardest working organs in your entire body, and choline is one of its most important tools. Think of your liver as a massive shipping warehouse. Every single day, fat arrives at this warehouse from the food you eat and from your own body's fat stores. But fat cannot just wander out of the liver and disappear on its own. It has to be loaded onto a transport vehicle, packaged up, and shipped out through the bloodstream to your muscles, where it can finally be burned as fuel. These transport vehicles are called VLDL particles, and here is the critical detail that changes everything. Choline is the material your liver uses to build those vehicles. Without enough choline, the fat sits in the warehouse with nowhere to go. It piles up, it accumulates, and over time, this leads to a condition doctors call hepatic steatosis, which most people know as fatty liver disease. When the warehouse gets clogged, fat metabolism slows down across your entire body, and suddenly losing weight feels like pushing through wet concrete, no matter what you try. Now, here's the part that makes this even more frustrating for most people. The richest, most bioavailable dietary source of choline on the planet is sitting right there in the egg yolk, and for decades people were told to throw it away. The fear of dietary cholesterol led millions of people to toss the very part of the egg that helps the liver do its job. They kept the white, which is mostly protein, and discarded the yolk, which is the biological instruction manual. It would be like buying a complex piece of furniture, following only half the manual, and then wondering why it keeps falling apart. The good news is that modern nutritional science has been quietly walking back the old cholesterol warnings for years. The yolk is not the enemy. In fact, for most healthy people, the yolk is precisely where the magic lives. Eating the whole egg is not indulgence, it is intelligence. But eating whole eggs is only the beginning. The next question is how many, and the answer is more specific than you might expect. 1 egg in the morning is not enough. 2 eggs is better, but still falls short of something very important happening inside your muscles. 3 eggs is where things get biochemically interesting. Inside your body, there is a constant cycle of muscle breakdown and muscle rebuilding happening every single day. This process keeps your body strong, your metabolism fast, and your insulin sensitivity high. But for the rebuilding part of that cycle to actually activate, your body needs a specific signal. That signal comes from an amino acid called leucine. Leucine flips a metabolic switch called the mTOR pathway, which essentially tells your body that enough raw material is available to repair and build muscle tissue. And like any switch, it has a threshold. It either flips or it does not. 1 egg provides a small amount of leucine. 2 eggs gets you closer, but still doesn't reliably flip that switch. 3 eggs approaches the threshold where muscle protein synthesis actually activates in a meaningful way. When that switch flips, your body enters a very different metabolic state. It receives the message that energy and nutrients are abundant, that muscle tissue is worth maintaining and protecting. And when your body is in that protective mode for muscle, something powerful happens on the other side of the equation. It becomes far more willing to release and burn stored body fat for energy instead. Muscle is not just about strength or appearance. It's one of the largest metabolic engines your body has. Muscle tissue burns calories while you're sitting at your desk, sleeping in your bed, doing absolutely nothing at all. Protect the muscle, and fat burning quietly accelerates in the background. Now, once you've committed to eating 3 whole eggs in the morning, there's one more factor that most people completely overlook, and it might be the most surprising one of all. How you cook those eggs matters enormously at the biochemical level. Most people cook their eggs on high heat until the yolk is completely solid, firm, and dry. This feels thorough. It feels safe. But from the perspective of the nutrients inside that yolk, high heat is destructive. Egg yolks contain delicate lipids and phospholipids that are sensitive to temperature. When you blast them with high heat, those lipids oxidize. Oxidized lipids are not neutral. They actively promote inflammation inside the body, and inflammation is one of the most reliable ways to push your metabolism in the wrong direction. It elevates cortisol, disrupts hormonal balance, and creates a kind of low-grade metabolic stress that makes fat loss harder and energy crashes more frequent. Beyond the oxidation issue, high heat also reduces the bioavailability of choline, which means even if you eat 3 whole eggs, cooking them the wrong way means your liver gets a fraction of the choline it was supposed to receive. The solution is beautifully simple. Cook your eggs gently, soft-boiled, poached, lightly scrambled on low heat. Any method that keeps the yolk soft and slightly runny preserves the nutrients in their functional form. The difference between a runny yolk and a chalky, overcooked one is not just texture or preference. It's literally the difference between chemistry that works and chemistry that does not. When choline from the yolk is absorbed properly, the body converts it into a compound called acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter that directly supports attention, memory, and mental clarity. A properly cooked egg breakfast doesn't just fuel your body, it fuels your brain at the same time, something no amount of morning coffee can fully replicate. Now here's another layer of this that makes the whole picture even more compelling. Hunger is not a character flaw. It's not a test of willpower that you either pass or fail. Hunger is controlled by a very specific set of hormonal signals traveling between your gut and your brain. One of the most powerful hunger-regulating hormones in your entire body is called cholecystokinin, often referred to simply as CCK. When protein and fat arrive in your upper intestine, CCK is released into your bloodstream and travels directly to your brain, carrying one simple message: you are satisfied, you can stop thinking about food. At the same time, CCK slows down how quickly your stomach empties, meaning food physically stays in your digestive system longer, extending the feeling of fullness for hours without any mental effort on your part. This is not discipline. This is physiology working exactly as it was designed to work, and eggs trigger it beautifully. Adding a small amount of butter, ghee, or coconut oil to your eggs makes this satiety signal even stronger. This is not a suggestion to eat unhealthy amounts of fat. It's a precise biological reason why a little healthy fat in your breakfast creates a dramatically different experience than eating protein alone. Dietary fat stimulates your gallbladder to release bile, which is the compound your digestive system needs to properly break down and absorb fats and fat-soluble vitamins. When protein and fat work together in the same meal, the CCK signal amplifies, the satiety deepens. Many people who try this approach report something that feels almost strange at first. They simply forget to feel hungry until well into the afternoon. There's no craving gnawing at them by 10 in the morning. There's no desperate reach for a snack an hour after breakfast. The hunger just doesn't come because the biological machinery that generates it was properly satisfied.
One final piece to this puzzle involves the two hormones that ultimately decide whether your body spends the day storing fat or releasing it. Those hormones are insulin and glucagon, and they work like two sides of a seesaw. When insulin is high, your body is in storage mode. It's holding on to energy, prioritizing glucose as fuel, and keeping fat locked away in your fat cells. When glucagon is higher, the seesaw tips in the other direction. Your body shifts into release mode. Fat stores become accessible, and your cells start burning stored energy instead of hoarding it. The single most reliable way to tip that seesaw toward glucagon in the morning is to eat a breakfast that doesn't spike your blood sugar. Eggs, healthy fats, and low-starch vegetables do exactly that. Insulin rises only gently, glucagon increases, and the fat-burning environment your body needs is quietly established before you even leave your kitchen. This is why removing bread,